Alright, lesson 51, graphs of linear equations, graphs of vertical and horizontal lines. Now this lesson has the potential to be really long, so I'm going to try to keep it as short as I can. So let's just try our first problem. We are going to be graphing lines, and I'm going to show you an example of what an equation of a line looks like. An equation of a line will look something like this: y equals 2x minus 1. Now I talked in the last lesson why this is an equation of a line. The highest degree of any exponent is 1. So if you found all the values that make this true, which are called ordered pairs, and line them all up, it's going to make a line. So if we talked about if you put a 1 in, you're going to get a 2 minus 1 would be 1. So you would get 1, 1. And if you plotted all those points like we learned in the in the last lesson, you'll get a straight, all the values that make this true on the graph will be a straight line. So let's just talk about, we're going to learn two different methods to graph these. Today we're only going to learn one, and later in the book we're going to learn another way to graph all the points that make this equation true. The first thing you're going to do is you're always going to solve your equation for y before you begin. So this one, the first couple that you do will already come solved for y, so you won't even have to do that. Second thing you do is we're going to make a table of values. So you're going to make a little chart like this, and you put an x and a y. X is your independent variable because we can pick what that is, and y is our dependent variable because it's dependent on whatever x is. So what we do is we just pick random values for x. You can pick anything you want, but you can see my graph only goes up to about 8 here, so 7. So you don't want to pick very big numbers or else it won't fit on our graph. When I'm picking numbers for x, I'm going to pick values for x, I usually pick 0 to start with. And then I pick small numbers like 1 and -1. What we're going to do is we're going to pick 3 values for x. 2 points determine a straight line, and the third point checks to make sure that we didn't make any mistakes. So we're always going to use, you can use anything you want. You can put a 2 in for x, you can put a 10 in for x, it doesn't matter. You're still going to get out a value for y that lies in the same line. But these are just the ones that I normally pick since they're small. What we do is we pick some values for x. You can pick anything you want, you put it in for x. So I'm going to just put that in. I say y equals, you pretty much do this in your head though, 2 times 0 minus 1, and we're going to get out for an answer minus 1. So y equals minus 1. I'm going to put a 1 in there. So I'm going to get 2 times, I'm going back up here, 2 times 1 minus 1 equals 1. So that would go here. And then finally I'm going to put the minus 1 in there. 2 times minus 1 would be minus 2, minus 1 would be minus 3. So those would be our 3 points. These are our ordered pairs. You could rewrite them like this, but we don't need to. These are the values that make this true. There's an infinite number of ordered pairs that you could pick on this line. Now we're just going to plot these points. So we go over here, we have 0, and we go down -1. Remember, we go left and right 0, down -1, down 1. And then we have 1, 1, so 1, 1. And then we have -1, -3. And you can see they line up on a line. If they don't line up on a line, then one of your values is wrong, and then you connect them with a straight line. You can use a ruler. That makes them nice and straight, and graph paper is really helpful to have. And so that's our first line that we graph. Not too bad. Let's try another one. I know I'm going to run out of room here, though. It's going to be my biggest problem today. Mr. Demai has a meeting tomorrow morning at 5 in the morning, so he really wants to go to bed, and I'm up here doing this lesson. So, it won't be too long. Y equals, I'm going to show you a little trick here, -1/2 x plus 2. I'm going to get a little bit different strategy here. I'm going to make my table of values, my x and y, and I always pick 0, That's kind of a given for me. So I'm going to put, I can put my 0 in, so I would get negative 1/2 times 0 plus 2, and of course this is 0, so I get 2. Now see how we have a fraction? I could put 1 in. If I put 1 in, I'm going to get negative 1/2 plus 2, and so I get 3/2. That's kind of messy. What I like to do is put whatever the denominator is in for x. So if I put a 2 in for x, watch what happens. Negative 1/2 times 2 plus 2, and so that these would cross out. So I have negative 1 plus 2 gives me 1. See how nice that works? So you have to, use a little strategy. What would work best for x when you're picking these values? And then finally, I'm going to put in a negative 2, so the same thing happens. I mean, you could put a 4 in, because the 2 would go into 4 2 times, and that would get rid of your fraction. So I get negative 1/2 times negative 2 plus 2, and that would just be a negative times a negative would just be a positive 1, so we would get 3. Then you could either write them as ordered pairs like this, or you could simply, I'm going to do this on the same graph up here, I think. Or you could simply just plot them from here. So we get 0, 2, 0, left and right none, up 2, no point, 2, 1, and negative 2, 3. And you can see they line up on a straight line. So we go there, and we just connect those guys, and we have our line. Hopefully that all makes sense to you. If it doesn't, we'll go over it. We'll spend lots of time in class going over it if we need to. Let's just do a kind of weird one, and then we have to do the last part. So I think I'm just going to wipe out. Be patient with me here while I wipe this out. That looks funny, doesn't it? Okay. I have to change some things there. One second. There we go. I'm going to start over again. Okay, let's do another one. This is example 3. Graph y equals negative x. Okay, this one, it's a little bit easier actually. Do your xy chart. Pick values. Let's put our 0 in, we get 0 out. If I put a 1 in, I get a negative 1 out. And if I put a negative 1, I get a positive 1. So let's just plot those points. See how it was easy? I didn't have to add like a plus 2 or anything. So let's just plot those points. So we get 0, 0, 1, negative 1, and negative 1, 1. You get the point. No pun intended on that there. Okay. And we got it. Okay, let's just do 2 more quick examples. This is a little bit different. So, you notice that the lesson is graphs of linear equations and graphs of vertical and horizontal lines. We're going to be getting into lines like this one. Let me put a line on here. Say you had a line like this. See how it goes straight up and down? Well, that has a specific look to it that looks different than the last ones we did. And we'll get into that when we get into slopes. This will make a little bit more sense to you. This is a vertical line, and you can see how it's a vertical line and it goes through the x-axis at 3. So x equals 3 right there. This one would look like, it would say graph x equals 3. If you ever see one that says x equals 3, it doesn't have a y in it at all. That's just going to be every x value in this line. Like this is 3, 1, 3, 3, 3, negative 3. Every x value on this graph is 3. So the graph is just x equals 3. The way that I like to remember it, do you see how it looks like you have a V for vertical and a V for vertical, and it makes an X. So if you see an X equals 3, you just think of these V's and just think vertical. If you know what vertical is, that is. Okay, and the last one we have to do is horizontal lines. Let's just try a horizontal line this time. This one's going to look like y equals 4. That means every y value is going to equal 4. And I have a little trick for that. See if you flip this around, this y around, it looks like an H. And I always say that's for horizontal. So if you have a y equals something with no x's in the equation, it's going to be a horizontal line. Every y value is going to, we'll just do this up here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Every y value is going to be 4. Whoops, I lost my pen here, it's stuck. Hold on a second. These things happen occasionally. Have to catch up or something. Yeah, come on, come on. This has never happened before where it's stuck. Oh well, this would have been across the y-axis at 4. And since my pen is stuck, I can't really do anything else. Let's see if I can do it without my, there we go. My pen's not working, but my mouse is working. So we can put a line across here at y equals 4. And that's what, when you don't have an X, that's what that looks like. And it looks like my pen still is not working. So we're just going to close here. I'm not going to be able to do the last example. So that's about it for lesson 51. And if you still have questions about this, we'll go over all your homework problems in class.